I am doing my family in war project. This particular family member of mine is my grandfather, who was in the Indo-Paki War. The Indo-Paki War was in 1947, after India gained independence from the British. The reason that this war started was because there was land in between Pakistan and India. This land was Maharaja Kashmir. Now, India and Pakistan wanted this land, but the people of Maharaja Kashmir wanted to be independent. So they had a war. This war was very short, only lasted a few days. But it only lasted a few days because the UN stepped in. The UN stopped this war and told Kashmir that they had three choices. One was to join India, two was to join Pakistan, and three was to be an independent country itself. Now, after a few days of making up their mind and having votes, they decided that they were an independent country. Pakistan was not happy with that, so they attacked the Kashmir, and so the Kashmirian appealed to India to defend them. And India did, and they held them back successfully. Now, after that, the war had died down, only to be rejoined in 1965. But let's not talk about that yet. Let's talk about my grandfather in 1947. My grandfather was a 14-year-old boy in school. Although this war didn't affect him a lot, because this war was happening in the northwest of India. He was living in the south of India. Although he wasn't in that area and wasn't fully affected, he still was very impressionable. And at that time, he heard a lot of people calling the Pakistani lots of names, and so he thought that Pakistani had a reputation for being arrogant, just overall not nice group of people. And that's how young children at that age thought of the Pakistani. And till this day, I feel as if he still has some bias towards towards India in this war. So, in 1965, the war restarted again because Pakistani believed that the Kashmir should be theirs because they had the majority of their population was Muslims, and because Pakistan was Muslim country, they thought naturally that Kashmir should be theirs. India thought that the Kashmir should be theirs because, well, they defended them. They saved them from the Pakistani. Rightfully, Kashmir should be theirs. So there was a war again, and from that war, there was a trench made in the Himalayas to mark the border of Kashmir and Pakistan because they kept on fighting and fighting and fighting. And the UN stepped in again. And this time the UN was much, much stronger. So, they said, you have three choices. Again, Kashmir. You either stay independent, join India, or you join Pakistan. And although the war before that had lasted 3 weeks, the Kashmir took a bit more time to decide this time. And they decided they're gonna stay independent again. Although nothing has happened yet, there's still been a lot of tension, even till this day. And, my grandfather is affected even till this day. Only a bit, though, because he's still living in South India. Though, at the time in 1965, my grandfather was sailing. He was 28 years old. At 28 years old, he was a sailor. He was the captain of a ship because he'd been training since he was 16 years old. And he was going through the Hariraja Pass in the Java Sea. It was called that at the time. And because he was crossing countries, going near countries like Indonesia and Muslim countries in general, he had to be very, very cautious because obviously those countries would be looking for Indian ships passing through. So at night he had to put on camouflage, and he would have to sail only at night. In the light of day, they could not sail. So, this is how my grandfather was affected. But after the war, he was totally fine. He's now living at 85 years old, and he's retired, obviously. He has the India world record for longest serving sailor, and this war was definitely an experience in his life he won't forget, because on that boat, he was scared for himself and his men. Thank you.